Okay, so look at me. So I have a little bit of windburn. I probably look terrible to you, and I'm okay with that. This is the environment that I live in. It's been rather aggressive. And the reason why I want to show you what I look like when I look like not perfectly perfect. Like I don't look rested. I don't look well put together, you know, as far as just the symmetry, like my face, you could see the swelling, the redness. You could see, like, I even feel tired, like under my eyelids. Yeah, I mean, we are in an aggressive environment, and my body is fluctuating with the environment, and I'm still able to go do things and be calm about it and be focused about it and not feel like I have to stay home because of it, unless it's like that bad, unless this particle acceleration going on is that bad. And so the reason why I do these videos, so you can see me every single day, what I'm doing for the most part. It's not just be watching videos and having just, you know, an awarenesses about stuff, but sometimes it's also me going out there in the world and doing what other people do, like fishing and shopping and all that. And then how is finally being purified and allowing things to come in and come out, how is that going to affect me, and how long will it affect me, and how much is the suffering? Because that's what people are really afraid of. They're afraid to suffer enough to save their life because they have so much retroactive suffering that they've held back systematically over the years. And so what I'm trying to represent is someone that can suffer a little bit on a daily basis relative to the conditions and still survive, still be able to go and fish and hang out with my husband when he wants me to, if there's room for that, because he also fishes with other people. And I can still take part and learn some stuff while I'm going through that process. Okay, I don't have to be cured and be under the influence in order to learn something, to take part in something, to you know. So, and I know I've been through 6 years of hell, on and off hell. I mean, and some of you know you have more than 6 years because of your predisposed issues. I happen to come into this picture with a few predisposed issues, but I didn't fall into the games of the holistic and allopathic too deep for too many years. And so I know some of you will not relate to what I'm saying and will never relate to what I'm saying because you're too far gone, and that's fine. That's why you need to block and delete me, because I'll just be pissing you off and making you feel bad that you probably may not have what it takes to deal with going through this suffering. Maybe you do. I don't want to talk you out of it, but I also don't want to lead you down a road of hope that you could be like me and you'll only have 6 years of suffering. You may have a lot more than 6 years of suffering. Some of you may have like 12 years of suffering until you finally get to a point where you can handle being in a dynamic environment and still be able to function properly. Okay? I just don't want to give you any false hope. I want to say this. It's going to be a journey for a lot of you to finally kick those predisposed issues you have. And so as far as particle acceleration, I was looking at pictures of myself. The pictures I took yesterday with me and my husband when we were I was showing you him and I fishing and stuff. And I could see like my face looks like right now, it looks like it's like there was like an extra layer, like an extra defense, because when it's cold outside, that's already a defense that your body has to go through. And then when you're purposely going really fast on a boat, like we were going 64 miles an hour, and I'm like, holy shit. Last year, a couple of years ago, when I was on the boat, when we first got it, I was scared out of my mind. I thought we were going to crash and all this other stuff. I had like the worst thoughts in my head because I just had those thoughts. But this time when he was going 64 miles an hour, I was just so calm. I was like, okay, you know, I will, whatever happens, anything happens, I will survive it. It's really cold and I can feel it like under all of my clothes. Like every single wind was just getting right through every single crevice. And I could feel the wind, but my core was extremely warm. And I could feel the tingling, okay? Because my body was adapting to those conditions. So I felt the tingling. at some point. And then when it was the adaptation. The body was going through an adaptation, and it kept me warm. And then also I was very calm as we were speeding so freaking fast across the lake. And he's a careful driver, but it was just like, I think the worst, and I don't want to put myself in any risky situation, but he wasn't under the influence. He's a careful driver. He wanted to show me how fast, and we want to get across the lake pretty fast too, to get from one place to the other. And so that's a particle acceleration. That's when it's already dynamic in the environment, and then you're going really fast. Okay, like the G-forces will cause your body to go into defense. Okay, and it'll cause your body to go into defense and take resources and double and triple the protection. Okay, and so I felt like my nose filled up when the wind was hitting me one direction. When all that force hit me one direction, my nose was filling up, like right on this side. And I felt it fill up. I'm like, oh, wow, this is interesting. Feeling that feeling of my nose filling up on one side, but not the other, because the wind wasn't hitting me on this side. It was hitting me on this side. And so that right there was showing me that is like a self-inflicted particle acceleration. Like I even tripled what was going on in that environment, causing then even more of the adaptation process to take hold. Okay. So swelling. So you notice that people in this environment, they're getting either bigger and bigger and bigger, or aging faster, or losing weight extremely fast in this environment. And so the whole J world is realizing that, yeah, I didn't poop a lot yesterday, but I did poop a little bit. But, and the day before I pooped a lot, but yesterday, for some reason, the body held on to it. And I was feeling like 1,000 pounds, but I didn't care. I was willing to sit with a bloated belly like I felt. I was willing to sit with just feeling like I'm 20 pounds heavier than I really feel normally. Because I guess the body knew it was preparing me for yesterday, to be in those conditions, to hold on to that information, to use that substance for as an energy conversion to protect me in that environment and keep me relatively cured and stable and on defense, and also able to learn and adapt to those conditions. And then this morning, it all came out. It like tumbled out. I fell asleep last night extremely early after we ate food. And my muscles were actually sore last night. Like I felt sore this morning, but as soon as I released the demons, no more soreness. Okay? No more soreness. I mean, that's essentially kind of the situations when you're going through that adaptation change, that evolutionary change. It's a period of a tiny bit of pain and a period of feeling bloated, a feeling of uncomfortableness, but not like unmanageable. But you know that the body has to hold on to those resources to get you through that specific activity. So imagine doing that every single day of your life. You're going to have to bring in resources every single day of your life. If you're working like in an office, forget being around people. Who cares? People are people, right? But when you're working in an office, that's easier, right? Because then you can just eat food, and then every morning you release your demons, eat food, feel what you got to feel. You can probably even work through it if you're not, dealing with really retroactive predisposed issues. But down the road, when you finally release those demons and you work in an office, then it's just that cycle of taking on substance, releasing, doing your job, always measuring how much you're putting out there, how much you're getting back, and are you recalibrating every single time you use that much energy or put yourself through that much evolutionary change. Okay, and so that's easier for a person in an office. Now, if someone's doing hard work, hard labor, like my husband or like John, okay, then it's you have to even work harder in bringing in the substance, because the resources that you're using are also giving you that daily activity to bring in resources that you can use that you can bring in to bring in more reserves, so you can then survive and thrive and evolve even when you're putting out so much energy. Okay, and also deal with the environment, the changes in the environment. And since you're working outside and using more of the energy, like body-wise, but the people who are in the office are using a lot of their mind energy. So it's all kind of the same. It's still energy being used. Okay, and so as far as fishing, I'm back to this video short. As far as fishing, people are like, well, Jillian's so like all about the animals and slaving animals and she's all talking smack about people with animals. Not really, as long as they have, more freedom than not. and they're not begging to go out and begging to have food and begging this. And they have freedom. But as far as if I'm going to get a pet, it would be a fish. Okay, just because fish have personalities on some level if you're around them long enough. But fish in the wild, they're in the wild. It's to what degree are you able to handle the suffering of biodiversity going through its predator-prey type of situation. So when you're watching animals in the wild go through that that evolutionary cycle of being hunted or hunting, it's tough to watch, okay? But as far as fishing, like bass fishing, I can handle that part of the world that I live in. Like I've married into a world of fishing and hunting. I can adapt to it. Okay, I can still say, I'm so sorry, fish, for poking a hole in you and making you stronger for the next fisherman who will not catch you because you've learned your lesson and you'll find a place to go. I mean, I could say stuff like that, but you know, it's still in my world around this. This is a type of competition and a type of sport type of thing that I can handle. I don't think I can hunt like lions. I couldn't hunt lions. I could probably not hunt deer. I really don't want, unless I'm going to eat it. But as far as fishing, I can handle the fishing. And it won't hurt my soul so much. Okay. So, somebody else like that's a bit more sensitive than me would probably have a hard time fishing. But then, you know, they have other issues that you could probably question, well, they're taking that too far. And, you know, and so we all have, you know, the crosses we must bear, but we all have our lives to live and figure out how we're able to come to terms with them and still have our humanity intact. Okay. And so, you know, I'm willing to keep myself alive and understand to what degree predator and prey situations can still maintain as part of my current life, and stay alive and keep myself alive and give people the opportunity, and, you know, and not take those activist stances to such a degree that then you lose, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to say this. Then you become a predator around that. And then you turn into the very thing that you're an activist against. Okay, so that's the key thing, is balance. Is acknowledging what you're willing to deal with and then realizing where you are as far as predator and prey. And the activist world is a huge predator and prey because, you know, when you're an activist, you're hunting people who think differently. You know, when you're in politics, religion, and the science dogmas, you are a predator and also a prey. And so everyone's hunting and hunting each other, trying to convert each other, and by cannibalizing each other, turn them into something that is the image of you. And so, yeah, as far as humans go, we gotta stop hunting each other. Like literally, we gotta stop hunting each other. As far as animals go, obviously the system is moving towards lab-created meat, and they're moving towards fish farming, like farmed salmon, farmed trout, whitefish. Nothing wrong with it, okay? People are like, oh my God, genetically modified, you know, fish, genetically modified. Who cares? You're genetically modified. Stop putting those arguments out there. And the system is going towards, even saying the octopuses are sentient beings. Okay? So the system is understanding what's going on here and what is developing such violence in people. And that's why we want nations to be civilized, because how even, you know, developing nations treat their animals, how developing nations treat even their citizens. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. And we've had campaigns, you know, when places that were eating dogs, and we're like, oh my God, that's horrible. Well, yeah, it's horrible, you know, but that's the thing. And when you have developing nations that aren't like civilized, so to speak, you're going to see so much of the Darwinian stuff that will tear your heart out. And so the West, the Crown, the West, America, civilization, civilized society is I'm going to say it's the best. Because then we can check ourselves. We can intellectually check ourselves and how we interact with each other, how we interact with the environment, with biodiversity, how we need to be held responsible for what we have produced and what we are producing, and where can we improve how we interact with each other and stop hunting each other and stop and all the things that right now the system is now finally just releasing. And so, yeah, this Great Reset is fucking amazing. I'm serious. I like this Great Reset. I absolutely like this Great Reset. If you don't like it, it's because you're at such a deficit and you're one of the ones that are going to be washed away. And I'm sorry. I want to give you every opportunity. You have the opportunity to redirect, but it's your choice. No one's doing anything to you. No one is doing anything to you. And so, yeah, the reason why we have politics, religion, and science dogmas is to give you absolution, that you can still blame someone and find a hero in someone and never, ever take responsibility. And we understand that's where you have to go, because we never gave you any, the system never gave you any other option but to do that until today. Like, today is the first day of the rest of your life, when you think about it. Okay, so if you choose not to change, you choose to worship heroes and demonize demons and all that stuff, that's fine. I mean, you'll do that until you are completely eradicated. And if you can teach your children to do that, then they will end up the same way, because they will not take responsibility for their part in their body, in their mind, or their spirit. And again, when people don't want to change, you can't make them change. You can't convert them. You can only represent the world that you represent. And not saying that you're trying to convert and say that you can do what I'm doing, but if you have the possibility, if you have the setup, if you have the wherewithal, there's always a possibility that you can change. Humans are made to be evolutionary. So are animals made to be evolutionary. But the animals, from order to animals evolutionary and adaptable, the humans have to give that environment to that animal for them to be adaptable and understand the environment and not cause more trauma, not only to the human, but to the animal. Because more trauma to the human, more trauma to the animal. It gets carried down, as well as more trauma to the offspring. And so humans have the ability to adapt to their environment, so as long as the environment holds life. And if you choose not to adapt to this environment, you choose to resist the environment, whether it's economical, whether it's environmental, then yeah, you will find absolution in your politics, because you will be worshiping somebody that speaks to you. In your religion, oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's what happened this weekend. Absolution. This whole weekend was about absolution for people. Absolutely. And in your science, you will justify why you should get a V or not get a V for whatever reason. And it's fine. I mean, when you think about the public health measures, okay, public health is something where they say people do stuff for the good of our society, and then your body, if it's strong enough, should be able to handle that evolutionary change. If your body is that at a deficit, that immunocompromised, it's not going to matter if it's a public health measure or somebody coughing in your face or you going outside and it's so windy outside it triggers a chain reaction of events that you're not prepared for. You have to be strong for this society. You have to be. Now, because we've allowed such a calm society, like back in the 1960s when I was watching the old movies, like Psycho and, what was it, the Norman Bates, thing, Psycho and, oh God, and The Birds. It was such a calm, you could see that it was calm, like that they were able to be skinny and to look perfectly engineered, like the Hollywood stars. And then all the people, that of the day were in their outfits, the 1950s, traditional stuff. Because the atmosphere was calm. So then the system was able to develop surgeries, drugs and different food chemistries to then speed you up or slow you down, and play with your hormones. Do a little tweak here, a little tweak there. And here we have the perfect, Stepford wife and the perfect Stepford husband. And here's a quintessential what you should look like, how you should look like. And so when the environment's calm and the particles aren't accelerated as fast as they are today, you could hold that, you could develop that kind of innovation, okay? And it'll hold for a while. And then the person ages gracefully, right? You see the transition of the body just depleting slowly, slowly, but hey, you know, that was accepted. And then as they accelerate the particles faster and faster after each decade, now you're seeing some crazy ass things going on out there. The cures and the surgery and things aren't holding for as long, and the person has to go get another cure and another drug and another surgery and another plastic surgery, another Botox, another, you know, whatever, because the particles are accelerating so quickly and people aren't staying intact and plasticize, you know, longer or they aren't saying, you know, long enough. And so then they have to go and get another tweak, another facelift, another, and so then you see the acceleration of then the needing to go get tweaked every couple years. The growth is accelerated. And you're seeing that even in the population. The growth has accelerated, but then that growth then turns into an attack on the offspring. That growth actually turns into such deficit that that child and that person doesn't last too long. And so, you know, unless you're in a slower frequency environment versus other places, and you'll never know, because remember, you don't see half the shit that goes on out there behind the scenes. Just like the Wizard of Oz, you know, everything was behind the curtain, right? Here, press a button here, you see it in the movies, like was it Cabin Fever or that Cabin in the Woods, and what was the other one with Jim Carrey? Truman Show. Okay. What's another one? The Hunger Games. And they're all playing with the weather and playing with the particle accelerators here, the amplifiers here, and some people are getting amplified even more so. The particles are accelerating more so over here, but not over here. I mean, the Santa Ana wind should tell you that Southern California was getting hit by those crazy ass winds. No wonder California was going a little crazy. In Southern California, you had all those different serial killers, and you have Hollywood and all of that, okay? And so some places got more particle acceleration than other places. And so you'll never know, really. And so now it's more pronounced in your face. Now we know kind of in some places they're not getting as many, you know, they're getting the CERN, they're getting all that particle acceleration, but then some places are getting even more so with all the geothermal positioning systems, GPS. Can I prove it? Absolutely fucking not. But if you have some logic to you, that if you can think it, it's probably happening. If you can think it, because you already have the components. You already know about Wi-Fi. You already know about 5G, 6G, 7G. You know about HARP. You know about CERN. You know about, you know, where we're going as far as electronic age. It's not hard to put together and say, oh gosh, why over here they're getting all these crazy storms, over here not as much? Why does this country seem to be relatively all peaceful and looking like, you know, something out of a magazine, like Lord of the Rings before it turned dark? And then why over here it looks like freaking devastation, like the third segment of Back to the Future when Biff turned everything to shit. Okay, Forward to the Future. Okay, so so you think about that, the movies, that threequel or whatever, I think there's 3 of them. I don't know how many series there was, but Back to the Future was telling how America was going to end up. It was first in the 1950s, a planned community, and then it was going to be a destruction. Oh yeah, the 1980s told us a whole lot of stuff, right? So now you have to survive it. So I don't care if I look crazy, because I'm fluctuating with the environment. I'm surviving. I'm not trying to look sexy. I'm not trying to look presentable or professional. What I'm trying to look like is I'm a person that's surviving my environment, that can adapt to the conditions that I chose to be in and the life that I chose, and still survive. Even though, yes, America is going to be going through a major economic change, major economic change, geological change, and I'm prepared for it, which is why I'm telling you, if you're in an area around water, I don't care what it is, are you prepared for the natural disasters? Are you prepared to deal with that? Are you in areas of where climate is so crazy, tornadoes and storms and floods and droughts and snowpacks? And do you have what it takes in body, mind, and spirit to handle those changes and to survive them? Can you handle losing everything? Even your children. Can you handle it? Would you be able to handle it? Could you survive? That's what, those are the major questions you have to ask yourself if you live in America and other places too. It's already granted that in developing countries that they're going to be losing a lot because it's developing countries. But again, you know, the governments are trying to figure out. I'm sure Bilderberg and all those different, one percenters that hang out together every so often figured out with each of the government how they're going to position the people and who is expendable and who isn't. And you'll never know. You'll never know what they came up with because it's behind closed doors. Now you just got to survive it. All right. So that's all I'm saying. I'm going to go and chill out and eat some food and yeah. All right. So talk to you later. Bye.